Hello and welcome to Love Those Locks. This is the channel where I am charting my second Sisterlocks journey. If it's your first time here, you are very welcome, and I hope you enjoy listening to my journey. On this particular part of my second Sisterlocks journey, I have decided to combine my Sisterlocks. This is a living experience where I'm combining them at the root, and I'm just going to see what happens over time. So today I want to talk about 5 reasons why I have decided to combine my locks, and also 5 signs that perhaps you want to look out for as you're following your own Sisterlocks journey. So the first one is thin edges. Thin edges are a real bugbear, and they can happen. I naturally have thin edges, so as you can see here, and as you can see here, I have naturally thin edges. But what I did notice, I'll pause a bit, but what I did notice was that while the edges were not becoming any thinner, I didn't like the fact that the Sisterlocks around those edges were themselves very thin, because as the Sisterlocks grow longer, more weight, more pressure, and any kind of styling choices, no matter how loose, puts extra pressure on those thin locks. And about a year ago, I decided to combine a couple of those thinner locks, and I did so by just twisting them together or plaiting them together, and then I cut the ends off so that I didn't have the fishtail effect. And that made those perimeter locks a lot stronger and made me a lot happier in that I could see that those locks would last. There's a bee. Now, another reason that I have decided to combine my Sisterlocks is scalp pain. Now, I was on a 4 to 5 week retightening schedule with my Sisterloctician, and for me, I felt that those were too frequent. Because my hair grows very slowly, I didn't think I had a lot of regrowth in that time, but I understood that the locks had to be retightened in order to maintain the integrity of them because they were so thin. So if you like, a bit of a catch-22 situation. Thin locks means that you can't wait too long between retightenings, and so I had to keep up that schedule to maintain the look and the health of the locks. But what I was feeling was that with my scalp hurting, it couldn't be a good thing for my locks overall, and so I decided that that scalp pain couldn't continue. Another reason is that I was just listening to my body. I was dreading those appointments, and it felt as if the appointments came up too soon. Every 4 to 5 weeks is actually quite regular, and I found that I wasn't looking forward to the appointments, and I really would have preferred to have pushed them back as far as possible. Where I am currently, it's been 11 weeks since my last retightening, and my locks are doing fine, but I have started combining them at the root, and I'm a lot happier with that decision. The other thing which is connected with the grid and the aesthetics of Sisterlocks is the actual appearance of the grid. Now, to me, seeing my scalp so visibly just isn't a look that I want anymore, because I think as our hair starts to thin over time with age, that scalpy look can be an indication of some problems further down the line, and I just wasn't really happy with that. And actually, when I thought about it some more, I thought I'm not that fussed about the grid. So going back to visible scalp, that for me was a big issue. This also ties in with the grid, and I know that the aesthetics of Sisterlocks is to have the grid formation, but if I'm really honest, I'm not that fussed about the grid. I don't need to have a grid. I don't go around exposing my grid, and I actually think that over time the grid can start to be a bit of a problem where there's a bee, where the hair at scalp level is thinning. And so I've decided that I don't really care about the grid, and that's another reason why I want to combine. I don't want to maintain the grid. I don't want to see my scalp. I've never liked the scalpy look personally, and I have felt over time that it started to look more and more scalpy, in that if the hair around the locks is starting to thin, and with each rotation over time, that can start to wear on the scalp hair, especially if there's scalp pain. So for me, it's never been important to continue to maintain the grid. So I'm actually happy to release the grid now. And if I'm honest, I would rather see messy hair at scalp level, but knowing that it's covered, rather than seeing a clean grid where it looks as if the hair is going. So that's a decision that has helped me to, you know, that's just my view. The next thing is to look out for these early signs, and I ignored them. I have to put my hand up and say that I was guilty of ignoring them for a very long time. I would feel the pain and think, oh, it's okay. And the other thing to notice is 24 hours after each of my retightenings, I would have scalp pain. But I ignored that, so I thought, oh, I'll be fine. In a day's time, it'll be okay. But the more I went for my retightenings and the more I experienced that, the more I couldn't continue to ignore it. And so I think it's important to watch for signs, keep an eye on your scalp, keep an eye on what your hair's doing, and also have somebody look and answer for you and check for you. That's very important. So these are the 5 reasons. I'll run through them again. The thin locks, not just at the hairline but more generally. The other point was scalp pain, paying attention to that, because pain is information and it isn't natural to feel scalp pain. Dreading the appointments, that was another big one. Another one was visible scalp, not just the grid but seeing more scalp in between the lines of the grid. And then another one, watching for early signs, being vigilant. So these are all of the things, and I decided, having noticed all of these things more and more, not to wait any longer. As I say, paying attention to the pain, and I wanted to understand more what was happening and to take action on that. And actually what I've noticed over the last 11 weeks, I haven't had any scalp pain whatsoever, and I can feel when I press against the different Sisterlocks at the back, especially at root level, it feels a little bit more protected, and that feels good as the covering of hair starts to grow over it. So these are the 5 signs. Love to know what your experience is, to hear whether you've noticed any of these 5 signs, whether you're ignoring them, which is what I've been doing for a very long time. And yeah, share your thoughts. Please like, share, comment, and please subscribe. And I look forward to showing more of my journey in the next video. Until then, bye. Bye.